On the edge of space, before time began, there was only the hubverse. Sprocketeers avenged clarity, they dismantled obscurity, they danced when the flywheel spun. Here, we bring you the stories and the journeys to becoming the HubSpot superadmin. In this episode, we hear from Tobias about his agency work and how he left and then came back, his selfie with Dharmesh, and all the people he met along the way. Welcome to Becoming a HubSpot Superadmin podcast, where we're championing the HubSpot Superadmin. My name is Grant Carlisle, and with us today we have Tobias Pasma. Official role is Solution Architect at Zooma, but you can call him the HubSpot Nerd. You can find him on LinkedIn at HubSpot Expert. He is a Sprocketeer. He was a soft launch attendee, a launch guest, and now a podcast guest. Welcome, Tobias.
Hey, thanks. Fun to be here. Great introduction.
It's the best when you have good content to work with.
Yeah. Oh.
Tobias, what is your favorite superhero and why?
My favorite superhero is... Can I pick two? Yeah, I can pick two, right? Can I?
You're the guest.
Yes. Okay. So it has to be Thor and Loki and the dynamic between them. But if I have to pick one, it has to be Loki. Just like I think he's the most fun one, the most. And they're both from here, right? From Sweden, Norway, that area. So yeah.
The dynamic between them is fun. I mean, not only being brothers and then learning about that brotherhood, how it came to be, and then just how their personalities, I guess over the movies, at least.
Yeah.
Are you a more of a movie, less comic book?
I think the last time I watched a full movie must have been like a good 4 years ago, and then I watched one with a friend to kill an evening, and then before that it must have been like another 5 years. Like I don't have Netflix. I rarely watch movies, but I know this stuff about the Marvel universe just from like YouTube shorts and like Instagram reels, and like here's all the memes in this movie, and here's all the memes in that movie, and like, oh yeah, this is kind of funny. I'm more of a YouTube person than a Netflix person.
So Tobias, you are based in Sweden, even though you work remotely. Can you tell us a couple things about your current role at Zooma? What it is, plant a stake in the ground for us of what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so like you said, my official title is HubSpot Solution Architect. That I came up myself because I saw Salesforce. They launched a Salesforce Solution Architect certificate, and then I was just about to get into this role. So I was like, hey, maybe my job title can be HubSpot Solution Architect. And they went with it, so that was fun. But what I do is I help clients with their HubSpot setup, but this is usually not your typical like, oh, we're going to implement the Marketing Hub Pro, but can be that there's like, we have a situation where we have 3 different brands in a single portal spread over 18 different countries, or we have a setup with 25 different portals, or so it's pretty large enterprises that I work for right now, which is not the usual segment, I guess, for HubSpot users. But it's super fun. Like I did a lot in the past with more like startups and SMBs and scale-ups, and now to actually take all that knowledge and apply it in, I would say, usually less dynamic organizations, but or not as quick in making changes often, but
Hmm.
the sort of challenges that you run into are so much more complex,
Yeah.
and that's sort of
Yeah.
what I thrive on. Like my my on a calm Sunday afternoon, if I have nothing else to do, I will be
Gotcha.
making Sudokus, and that is sort of what my job feels like.
A Sudoku
I'm
puzzle every day.
exactly. It's like I'm making Sudoku puzzles every day and explaining to people why there should definitely be a 7 in that
7 goes right
thing,
here. This is
because else this and that and that and that and that breaks, or we cannot do this and this and this anymore.
hmm
And
hmm
yeah, it's really fun.
I like that.
It's really
Quite
really
the
fun.
analogy. I do Sudoku. That's so I understand the complexity of levels deep kind of logic, where on its face it doesn't
Yeah.
seem obvious. Once you go a couple levels deep, though, it becomes obvious. So instead
Yeah.
of small business, SMB, startup, scale up, it is now a larger enterprise, which becomes it just, yeah. Did you say 25 portals? I guess, is that a real thing or is that a
Yeah.
hypothetical?
No, that's a real thing actually.
What?
Yeah.
For one partner? Or is that,
So yeah, this is one client, and they have like 25 portals, and then but it's like it's all because of like worldwide business spread out. Every country has their
and
own thing. And, yeah.
each one has their own portal,
Yeah.
each location.
Yeah. So then
Interesting.
it's pretty interesting, because then there can also be a difference where some things work, like a solution might work in a certain country because they have, say, Operation Hub
Right,
Enterprise,
right.
but then the next one they don't. They don't have Operation Hub at all. They maybe just have a Marketing Pro. And I'm like, okay, so how am I going to? Yeah,
Love to talk more about that later.
yeah, yeah,
Tell
yeah.
us, we'll have to dig into that to
Hmm?
multinational, multi-portal organizations. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun situations.
Okay, so that is the now. Now let's
Yeah.
go back to the beginning. So not high school, elementary school doing landscaping, if that was your first job. Rather, what sparked your HubSpot life? Where did this whole HubSpot arc come from?
So I'll do a little bit of school. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So after I got my bachelor degree, I worked part-time as like event guide for like corporate events, which was super fun, and worked a little bit on the marketing department of that company. I was like, okay, but I'm done with school now. I need a real job. So I went to like a recruitment agency and was like, hey, I finished my studies. You know anyone who has a job for me? So they started calling like marketing agencies around the
Mm-hmm.
town where I lived, and there was a company called One for Marketing, and they were like, yeah, come work here. So I did. I was the first hire, first full-time hire. There was a
Mm-hmm.
couple of, there was I think 2 people.
Already
So
there
there
other
was the
than you?
owner, and then 2 people who wrote like did just content creation, wrote like 2 blogs a week.
Okay.
That were like students working part-time, and an intern. Yeah,
And
and
what they
this
have you
was
doing to start out?
no,
Yeah, yeah.
this was fun. It was everything. So I think on my first day, I made or in my first week, I made a proposal for doing inbound marketing for this construction company, and this was almost 9.5 years ago. Yeah. So no one knew what inbound marketing was.
Yeah, we're talking 2013.
Yeah, yeah. So January 2013 is when I started. Um,
Holy cow.
yeah, and because it was such a small agency, I think we were the second agency in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
There were 3 in total, I think, at that time when I started, where there's now probably a good like 150 in that
Yeah.
country, maybe
Yeah.
more. So that was really fun. HubSpot
So they had you
was
doing everything.
yeah. Well, of course I had to learn the system, and I was doing content creation for the agency itself, and I had to read some books to learn what
That's right.
inbound actually was.
To read some books, you had to go get a book and read
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That very old first version of inbound marketing by Brian Halligan and Dharmesh,
Right. Right.
and then the other one, the new rules of PR and marketing by Dave Merman Scott. Like
Okay.
I had to read those in the first month to make sure that I kind of had an idea of what was happening and like learn what a buyer persona is and like
Mhm.
stuff like that. Um,
So were you using HubSpot then in that
yeah,
capacity?
yeah. So we were using HubSpot, and then we had a couple of clients that were on HubSpot as well. Um, I don't know, maybe a handful or maybe 2 hands full. And then I think like in my first month, yeah, I got a lot of freedom and a lot of trust. So that was really good. I think in my first or maybe my second month, we had a sales meeting with a pretty big, like, I don't know, maybe say 2,000 employee semi-government thing, and they wanted to explore if they should use HubSpot.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss at the time, he couldn't make it. He was double booked. So yeah, you can go and just demo HubSpot. Like 6 weeks into the job,
Right.
into like this room with like 3, like I think it was like a marketing manager or a program director and the head of marketing communications from
Mm-hmm.
that company. And here I come in like 21 years old, 6 weeks out of college. Hey, this is the new way you guys should do your marketing, and this is the tool, and this is the future, and they signed. That was cool. Yeah.
So
So
in college, you were a marketing major, is that correct?
communication.
Communication.
Yeah. So I was a lot more into PR. Yeah. PR, and then like social media stuff started. So then that was super cool. And yeah,
Right.
companies with a Facebook page. That's innovative
Sure.
at that time.
So a Facebook page was innovative. Was
Oh yeah.
Twitter on the radar for you guys at the
Yeah.
agency?
Yeah. I wrote I have a funny story about this. I wrote an ebook, Twitter for Beginners, like in my second month,
Mm-hmm.
something at the agency, and it was just like how to create a Twitter account, what is a hashtag, what is like an at mention, how do you create a list in Twitter, stuff like that.
Right.
And then at that time, it was like, well, the best practice was publish this in 50 LinkedIn groups at the same time. And like in a week, it was like hundreds of leads came from downloading that ebook.
Pouring in.
Yeah. No,
So-
I mean, I was pretty into like the Twitter automation stuff as well at that time.
Right.
So I had like, those tools that like you follow people, and then like if they don't follow you back a week later, you won't follow them automatically, and blah blah blah. And so I sort of faked my Twitter presence at that time. I don't know, like a little over 10,000 followers then, which was a huge number.
Crazy.
So I appeared in like a little list of like the biggest influencers on hashtag inbound marketing in the Netherlands. Like
That's amazing.
it's just like, oh man, I just use a tool that like follows and unfollows people, and like Yeah.
I love that
Oh,
you're just one of those people that gets into it and just gets started. I mean, you're pushing inbound marketing at the agency, and you're actually doing it there on Twitter, and that's happening.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
creating. You're showing a demo of how this stuff works weeks
Yeah,
in.
it's also just like, yeah, I mean, I got all that freedom and there also was no one else, and like it was there was no one else in the agency to do it. And there, yeah, and then the agency grew, and that was nice.
And you grew with it.
Yeah, exactly. So agency grew, HubSpot grew, the market grew, I grew. Um, yeah,
I
and I
just
become
wanna
like,
I want to go over milestones now between that role and where you're at Zooma today. Before we do, I just want to point out that you took the job that the Career Center got for you. So like you took that job, you went out and found it, asked for it. You took the job when there were meetings that someone else could have led. You didn't say no. You said, "All right, I'll demo." Right? And you just said, "I'll show them what I know.
yeah,
That I know some stuff, and I'll show them the things that I know." You know,
yeah,
you showed up, I guess, is what I'm trying to point out, is that there was an opportunity that now you look back and say this was kind of a point, or this was a fun thing. But at the time, to you, it was just a thing you needed to do, and you just went ahead and did it. And
yeah,
so often it's like, well, can I give this presentation? Someone might think, well, I haven't done that before. I need kind of just like
mm,
share what you know. And if you don't, just say, I'm not sure.
yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't know everything about how the agency worked.
No,
You were probably asked some questions that you didn't know the answer to.
I probably also didn't ask questions at times where I should have asked questions. I just
Right,
made
right.
mistakes.
You push forward. Love to
Yeah.
hear that.
Uh,
So yeah,
yeah.
now walk us through. Okay, now we have these two kind of fence posts.
Yeah.
What were some milestones along the way in your career with HubSpot, as far as experiences, places you worked, or kind of
Yeah.
things you did in your roles?
Yeah. Let's see. I think a first milestone was actually meeting other partners. We went on I think the Dublin office had not opened yet. Dublin office was their second office. It hadn't opened yet, or it just opened, but they couldn't host events there yet. So there was like an event in London that we flew to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a milestone, as in got to meet more people who were actually
Right.
doing this. It was the first time I met like a HubSpot community of sorts.
Sure.
So that was very nice. And then yeah, it was also, I mean, it was a special kind of people, a very good special kind of people. I mean, they were all like sort of like first movers
Yeah. Right.
in the market at that time. So that was fun. Let's see what other. Well, actually, so I started at one for marketing. Then after 3 years, I was like, okay, now I'm going to look somewhere else, and
Mm-hmm.
that was another milestone.
Getting that second job.
Well, this making a mistake in getting the second job. I moved to a PR agency who wanted to learn how to do marketing automation and inbound, and I went there and worked there for half a year because I told myself, no, for 8 months, because I told myself, you have to work somewhere for half a year before you can really decide that it's not for you. Maybe it's just, so half year, 2 months notice, I worked there for 8 months in total. Then I called one for marketing again, Dreek, like, hey, I'm going to quit. I don't like this. I'm going to be back on the job market. Do you want me back? And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah. And yes, I got back there, and so that was the second milestone, I guess. Back again, outbound for marketing. Then I worked there, I think, another 3 years.
Okay.
Then the next milestone, which was I started my own company, started my own agency, and moved to Sweden at the same time.
This was like 2017,
No,
2018?
where are we now? Let's see, this is 7 years after 2013, so 2020. We're in
Okay.
2020 now, ish. Nah, May 2019.
2019. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Heard.
right before the pandemic. Moved to Sweden. Was like, I'm going to start my own company, and I'm going to do it in Sweden. Moving from the
Okay.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
And if it goes bad, I lose some money and I fly back, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that worked out. It was very interesting, especially the first couple of months when it was really like, okay, like I need to find the clients. I am in a new country. I have some friends there. Yeah. And that's actually when I started. I guess that's actually a milestone as well, where I started working with Zooma, which is my current employee, or current employer, I should say. Sorry, not English native.
Understood.
And yeah, I did that for until December last year, officially on paper.
On paper.
Another milestone was I burned out and was burned out for a good 7-8 months of just being in bed, working. After I think 3 months of rest, I started working like half an hour a day, and
Wow.
then slowly building it up and building it up and building it up again. I don't know, maybe you recognize this, but when you, it was international work that I was doing, so it was sometimes that it was like a call in the morning at
Right.
7 with Australia, and then in the evening at 8 o'clock with Canada. So those were some long days and a lot of work, and I wasn't able to recognize stress. I just thought, oh, this is extra energy that I have on the busy days. Not realizing, hey, this was stress and I need to recover from this. So yeah, that was not a milestone. And then this milestone of actually starting here at Zooma last December.
At Zooma.
The
Zooma wizard.
Yeah. No, that was really good. Really good.
How'd you find Zooma?
So I started working with them first as a subcontractor when I had my own agency, and we're working for a company on a Salesforce HubSpot integration, which was again one of those ultra complex examples where this was actually, I don't know how many markets in a single HubSpot portal, which might actually be worse than managing 25 separate portals. And the Salesforce guy who was leading the integration from Salesforce side recommended me to Zooma. I was like, hey, I would like to work with this guy instead. Can you hire him and he works for your client?
Yeah.
Cool. And then
wow.
In that way.
Congrats, Tobias, on doing just such good work that people request to work with you.
Yeah.
Early on in college, I did a meeting. I thought I was going to be an accountant because I like to mess around with spreadsheets. And accountants use spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So I'm at PwC, KPMG. We're doing the walkthrough, and we were doing interview questions with some current people, and the tax woman was asked, "What's your favorite and least favorite thing about the work you do. Someone else had asked her this. And she said her favorite thing, but the least favorite thing stuck with me, and that's why I did not continue with accounting, is she said she's disappointed that when she leaves an engagement, they're happy she's gone. Right? When you're
Really?
they're happy that you're gone, because with tax, you're going in and you're either doing an audit or you're making sure that the audit ran well, right? Or you're checking in.
Yeah.
So in the tax role, they're happy that you're gone. And I'm like, I don't want that ever. I want them to ask me back. I want them to want me to come back. So congratulations to you on doing such good work that people request you.
Yeah, no, that was the whole reason why it worked to have my own company, was because people knew me and people could recommend me, and that was also one of the things at the time when I had my company was, if you're not happy with the work I have done, then I will not invoice you. And I think that happened once, and that was more because I had started doing work, and then the pandemic hit, and then we were sort of in the beginning phase of the project, and they were like, "We're out. You can invoice us." And I was like, "I don't feel like I have added value yet, so no." But call me after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that was. I mean, I think that's something that pretty much every agency should keep as a policy. Like or every business should have as a policy, right?
You're awesome.
If the customer is not happy, you don't invoice them.
I mean, the fact that is something that you believe and actually practice, I think, is the whole point here.
Yeah. No, that's,
so this is a good segue then into you maybe loving on some other people. So we talked about some milestones of things you've done along the way. Can you walk us back through those milestones or the places you've been and the people you've worked with, and tell us a couple stories of the people you're grateful to have as part of your career?
Yeah. Now, I think sort of going back to what I just said before you asked this question, that thought of actually first came to me after listening to Dharmesh talk about this and sort of describing what an inbound mindset is. That's the first time that I thought of that, like, okay, how can you create a company that, like, not just like inbound marketing, but in the sales, in the financing, in the hiring, and there's a lot of books. Or Dentire wrote a book called Inbound Organizations that kind of touches upon some of those areas, which is interesting. And that's been a more like, I mean, it's not a person I worked with. I think I took a selfie with him on the inbound one year, but like
positive influence is enough of a barrier here. Yes,
but no, I
that's
definitely
fantastic.
I have to say Dreek, so the founder of One for Marketing, he has been the agency where I worked twice. He has been a very good and positive influence on me, has learned me a lot, has given me so much opportunity and freedom, put so much trust in me, that I could just early on when I started my career could do stuff that most people wouldn't be able to do at that phase. I mean, I don't mean
he gave you the freedom to explore your curiosity.
Exactly. It was like if I wanted to do a workshop with a management team on how they should do a buyer persona workshop, like 4-hour buyer persona workshop with a management team of a customer. He would be like, yeah, sure, fine. And
why did you want to do that? You wanted to do training? You wanted people to be better?
Yeah, like,
where did that come from?
No, like, well, we were like creating a strategy and stuff, and then like you have to explore your personas, and then we did that in a workshop form, and I had been like attending it with him sometimes. It's like, okay, now I'm going to do this one by myself, And then like being 22-year-old and 23 maybe, and then leading a workshop for these like senior managers, directors. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I'm really happy with all the freedom that I got there and all the learning that I got from him. And then right now it's specifically on HubSpot stuff. I would have to say Stellan, my colleague Stellan Björnsjö here at Zooma, who I can, you know, I think I told you this before, but it becomes harder and harder to find people who can talk with you about HubSpot in the same way, and that's why I'm so happy with this like superadmin community, because it's a whole group of people who are like as nerdy and fanatic about this and are as deep into it as I am, or as I would like to be, and he is. So that's really nice to have someone like that as a colleague.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I think those are probably the three most important. And well, this is not specifically on HubSpot and my HubSpot journey, but it's one of the project managers here at Zooma that I work a lot with, and she makes my work so much better. Her name is Charlotte. And she makes it so that I can do exactly what I like, which is nerding around in HubSpot, finding solutions, solving problems, coming up with ideas for improvement and optimization. And she's just like handling all the stuff that when I had my own agency or when I worked in the other agency, but was also, doing a little bit of other things on the site because I thought I liked that, as in like admin stuff and HR stuff and
Yeah.
So that's so nice. I can just
Charlotte just takes care of it.
Exactly. I can just go fully into what I'm good at and what I like, and like she takes care of everything. It's so amazing.
Thank you, Charlotte, for doing all that you do.
Shout out, Charlotte. Yeah.
Thanks for letting him nerd on HubSpot for us and teach us all the ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the list can go on and on, but
we'll make sure to call them out and give them proper recognition.
Or
it's fun to hear people.
Then I have to do one more. I also have to do Daniel. Daniel, another colleague at Zooma who's sort of in the same role as me, and just like I think we have this bi-weekly meeting, which is like an awesome thing. It's Stellan, Daniel, and me, and we just go over like all the new HubSpot feature updates, and then it's like, this like for that client, and then that for that client, and like
sure.
We sort of like go through the feature updates and then everything except for payments.
Yeah, many if you're listening, payments outside the US.
Yeah, we exist. Like everything except for payments is like just like a spark of happiness and like, oh, we can do that there. Oh, we can do that there. And like with those two guys who are just like nerding over the HubSpot stuff, and it's super fun. Man, that was three
fantastic.
Colleagues.
It sounds like you hate your job. I'm sorry you hate your job so much. It sounds like it's just terrible.
Yeah. It's so bad. No, I mean, I'm like, it's so much better than running my own agency and working with other freelancers, and
I love that you appreciate, and when asked to call out other people, it's not just people who have helped you along the way. It's really people that you work with that help you do what you do by doing what they do. Like, you appreciate the fact that Charlotte is doing all these things and she's good at that. And that just helps you do what you're doing. And then you can do it together now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how I love HubSpot, she loves Trello. And
sure.
It's great.
It's a match made in the hubverse, in the techverse,
exactly.
tech stack. A match made in the tech stack. I can get around that. All right, so last question here. Tell us about Tobias in 10 years. There's a future version of this gentleman we see in front of us that will exist. If he could be talking to you right now, what would he say to you?
That that is the hardest question you have asked me so far. I have no idea. It can be two very different things. It can be continue what you're doing, grow into it, lean into it, keep leaning into it, become more of like maybe an enterprise architect with a focus on customer experience, like moving to that area. Or it can be, and of course still with the orange heart, or, hey, how about you buy a farm and
Yes.
become self-sufficient, live off-grid in the woods, forage your food, have a couple of sheep, have a couple of chicken. That's the, But
that'd be 20, 30, 32.
2032. Yeah. Oh man.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah. Do you think the world still exists in 2032?
Yeah, right. Maybe we'll all be in VR. People watching this in 2032 or have headsets on and sitting somewhere.
Yeah. No, or maybe because I'm now on like remote. Well, I worked remote before, but now I'm on like a road trip.
Mm-hmm.
So I like work a week from my Airbnb, and then from Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I drive, and then maybe my future self would say, keep doing that. It's awesome.
That. This whole travel thing. It makes a lot of sense. We have these divergent parts of us of do more of what we're doing because we love it.
Yeah.
And go off grid and just be with the earth.
Yes. Yeah.
Love it.
Into the forest. Yeah.
Well, in 2032, when we're best friends, we can revisit this and do an update.
See where I'll be.
That's right. Well, Tobias, thank you for being with us and sharing with us your story and insights and giving some other people some daps along the way.
Absolutely.
Where's the best place people can find you?
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Go to
linkedin.com/HubSpot-expert.
HubSpot-expert. And you will get Tobias here.
Yep. And there you can book meetings and everything. So let's talk more if you want.
Reach out to Tobias and book a meeting with him. Tell him that you saw him on the podcast, that you love that he's a HubSpot expert and the HubSpot nerd, and you want to talk with the HubSpot nerd. Thanks so much for being with us and telling us your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was really fun.
All right, we'll talk to you on Discord.
Sounds good. See you there. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Becoming the HubSpot Super Admin podcast is available at hubspotsuperadmin.com or wherever you get your podcast.